Hello, and welcome back to the Midweek Podcast. So, today we're talking about one of the most important topics in a state agency, and it's also one of the biggest overlooked opportunities in a state agency going. We are, of course, talking about vendor care and looking after your homeowners who are on the market with yourself. Now, before you get completely bored to tears, this is going to help you sell more properties. So, if you get this right, you'll be getting high fives and sale agreed outside your vendor's properties. If you get this wrong, you'll be getting disinstructed left, right, and centre, and you basically won't have a business. So, pretty serious, it's fair to say. If you look at the reasons why homeowners instruct agents to sell their property in the first place, one of the biggest reasons behind it is communication and open communication about what is going on. I think homeowners and sellers in general are fairly realistic to the fact they know that when it comes to selling their property, it isn't going to be a smooth process from start to finish. There is going to be stuff that goes wrong. I mean, after all, it takes forever to sell a property these days and actually get it through to completion. So chances are something's going to go wrong in that time. But what they do want is straight, honest, and transparent communication with their agent that when things come up, they are straight with them and they try and sort these problems out. What they don't want is an estate agent who sticks their head in the sand and wait for it all to blow over or for someone else to fix the problem. On the flip side of the coin, if you also look at the biggest reasons why homeowners disinstruct a estate agent, communication is pretty much always top of the list because they feel like they're being kept in the dark about what's going on. And if a homeowner isn't hearing from you, they don't think to themselves, oh, goody, Bob must be out doing lots of viewings and really trying to sell my property. They think Bob has forgotten about me and Bob is probably on the golf course. So therefore, communication is absolutely key within your estate agency business. So let's talk about how this works and how this structure looks day in, day out. What we're going to talk about is the vendor care cycle. And as the name gives away, it is a cycle. It's a circle. It is circular. It goes round and round and round. So at all times, from the point of listing on the market through to going under offer, your vendors are somewhere on this carousel going around the process. And where they are on it depends on where they're up to with the interest on their property and where the communications are up with them as well. Let's imagine we take a brand new property on the market today. It's fresh, it's new, good news. Hopefully this is going to sell. Our vendor update with a homeowner, even though it's just gone live, should still take place. It's better to go overboard with communication than underboard. So let's go and have a conversation with them in the first week of it going on the market. You want to get across exactly how hard you've been trying to work to sell that property. So great news. Yeah, I've checked all the portals. We're all online. It's looking really good. It's uploaded really well. I've checked on our social media that uploaded the video I did yesterday, went online, lots of traction off the back of it. I'm looking online today. I'm looking at the people searching for it. I'm looking at the click-through rate. This is all looking really good. By the way, our team are hitting the phone this afternoon. They're going to start calling out the property and try and get some viewings on the home. We are go, go, go. Everything's looking good. We are full guns blazing to sell your property. Cool. Pretty good update. That's what you want to hear. If I'd gone on the market today, I want a agent on the line saying, it's cool. We've got this. We know what we need to do. We know you want to sell. So we are throwing the kitchen sink and more at selling your property. Now, let's assume a worst case scenario in this situation. Let's assume that I've had no viewings on the property whatsoever. Absolute tumbleweed, diddly squat, nada whatsoever. Week 2 comes around and the conversation is still going. And the number one priority here is to get across how hard you've been working. You know, we're still hitting the phones. We're still speaking to people. We've got it online. I've checked it online. The number of searches are up this sort of level. The click-through rates are this level. This means our marketing's working really well. What I would have expected, though, off the back of the amount of marketing we're doing, the amount of phone calls we've had, and the conversion online, I would have expected some viewings by now. We've got other properties that are getting the same sort of figures you're getting, and they're having 5 viewings per week at the moment, and we're currently, as you know, at 0. So what we've got across there in week number 1 and week number 2, number one thing, how hard we're working, what we're trying to do. Because again, as we mentioned earlier, if you don't get across what you're doing, they don't think you're working hard. So therefore, if they don't hear from you, they don't think you're too busy to call them, they think you're doing something else. Finally, comes around week number 3. Now, the Rightmove stats show this is when you want to start dropping prices down on properties. The honeymoon period is well and truly over. If it was going to sell at that sort of price, it probably would have sold by now. So this is not looking good for my property with no viewing so far. So again, we want to get across what we've done to try and sell the property. So just to recap, we've phoned this many people, we've texted out, we've messaged people, we've put it on our socials twice, we've got it online. I've looked at the conversion rate and our marketing is working really well. but I would have expected a lot more. So really, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is all your metrics are looking really good. So the good news is online, you've appeared in 2,000 searches last week and 200 people download the details. That is looking really, really good. That is a sign that our marketing is working really, really well. So that's kind of the good news. As we talked about last week, the bad news is I would have expected off the back of that us to have 5 to 10 viewings already on your properties, like other properties on the market have had. Now, clearly, there is something getting in the way of people viewing your property online and picking up the phone to book a viewing for your property. Now, it's one of two things. Either it's the way we presented the property, which I think you'll agree we've done a really good job of presenting it. The pictures look great and we've had lots of good feedback on that side. Or it's the pricing of the property, how it is at the moment. Now, this is the key bit. So, question for you, Mr. Jones. If someone walked through your front door today with a bag full of money and gave you the money you needed to get to Slough, what would you take for your property? Would you take and then pick a figure slightly lower than you think they'll ever go for? Not insulting, but not a million miles off. So let's say we are on the market for £300,000. I might say, would you take £270,000 for your property? And they'll go, oh my God, Chris, I would never take £270,000. All right, then what would you take? Oh, we might take 285. Okay, right. So let's look at 285 then. That's sort of a figure to go for. What we're trying to get out here is what the vendors will actually take for their property. To the best will in the world, if I had that same conversation again and I said, we're on at £300,000, would you take 270? And they went, actually, I wouldn't take a penny below 300,000. Well, we're a bit stuffed because we're on the market for 300,000 and we've got a homeowner who won't take a penny less than 300,000. The only slight Hail Mary we've got in that situation is go, okay, well, maybe let's try offers in excess of 290. But for most homeowners, they will turn around and they'll give you a figure they'll achieve for the property. Now, I know and understand the what would you take if someone walked through your front door with a bag full of cash is a bit of a cheesy line. I get it. But if you say to your homeowners, what would you take for your property? They will turn around to you and they'll go, get me an offer. Get me an offer. We'll take something. Maybe we'll take this, maybe we'll take that, but get us an offer. We're open to offers. Get us some people viewings to the front door and we'll see how it goes. And you're like, no, no, no. I just want a figure. And so by saying to people, this is what the situation is, and would you take this lower figure? You want them to say no. Now, if they're on at £300,000, for example, I wouldn't be turning around saying, will you take 250 for it? Because they'll probably say, bugger off, Chris, what are you even talking about? But we want to get a figure out there where they correct you. People like to be right, and they like to correct people who are wrong. So, for example, if I said the sky is green, most people would turn around and go, no, Chris, you're an idiot. It's blue or grey in the UK. So therefore, we are purposely getting the price wrong that we're saying they might take. So we're purposely saying to them, will you take 270? We know they're not going to take 270. We were not expecting them to turn around and go, oh, you read my mind. We'll definitely take that. Instead, we're looking for them to turn around and go, no, oh my God, I wouldn't take 270. Okay, then what would you take? All right, we might take 280. We might take 290, but we need to get some offers. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, let's look at the price change on the property then. So at that stage, I would imagine if you've done your job correctly and you've got across how hard you've been working for the last couple of weeks or so, they can't use that as a get out of jail free card. You would expect the homeowner would drop the price down on their property. Now, guess what? The cycle starts all over again. Next week happens. So week one of that cycle all over again. Cool, we've got the price changed. I've checked online. It's on the portals. The team have been phoning it out. We've matched it out. We've emailed it out. Looking really good on the conversions, etc. so far. I'll let you know next week how we're getting on. Next week comes around. Yeah, great. We're still hitting the phones. We're still trying really hard, but I would have expected a bit more off the back of it. Week 3 again, which is technically week 6 by this point. Look, it's not working out. It needs to be the price. And at some point, your vendor should always be some point on that cycle. Now, I'm going to state the really obvious thing here, and that is obviously helps to get the price right the first time. There's lots of stats out there showing how much quicker you sell properties if you get the price right the first time. The lack of fall throughs, the lack of properties going to other agents, that can certainly help. And if you're going to get the price changed on the property, change it to what it needs to be, not the 2% because Rightmove say it should be 2%. Actually, if it's going to drop down to 290 but actually needs 280, you're far better off having a hard conversation with the homeowner and say, actually, this is where it needs to be. Because chances are you're probably going to get one or so cracks of the whip with regard to the price reduction. And by the time you go and do a second lap of the circuit and say, I know we dropped down to 290, but it really needs to be 280, they'll be thinking, well, why didn't you tell me that 3 weeks ago? We've just waited the last 3 to 4 weeks going around backwards and forwards, when really, if you knew it needed to be down at that new price, we could have had that conversation, had it sorted already. So at all points, your vendor should be somewhere on that cycle. And your goal is to make sure they do as little or fewer laps of that as they possibly can do. If you've got someone who's done more than 2 laps, I mean, it's not looking great in the grand scheme of things. But any property on the market, I should be there at week one, they're at week two, they're at week three, which is price reduction, then back around to week one all over again. Trust me, if you have this going well in your business, you will list properties and you'll sell properties far quicker. You'll have a better sold pipeline, you'll have a better business, better income, and you'll be getting high fives around. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Do not underestimate how important vendor care is for a estate agency business. As mentioned, it's the number one reason people instruct, and it's the number one people disinstruct as well. So you can choose which side of the coin you want to be on. Have a great day, and I'll catch up with you really soon.